Jacqueline, thanks for joining us today. Can you share a little with us about your organization and what is it you do to care for seniors?
Thanks so much, Janice, for that question. Look, our vision at Integrated Living is about better health outcomes in rural, regional and remote communities. So in Australia, we are the largest solely in-home care provider as a not-for-profit in that rural, regional and remote areas. So we don't operate in the capital cities, in those metro cities. And that's been really important to us, that we're able to serve those rural, regional and remote communities. So we operate from far north Queensland right down the east coast of Australia to Tasmania. So we operate in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, ACT and the Northern Territory. So it's quite a large footprint. And generally each year we deliver services to between 20 and 30,000 people. So over the organisation's been going since 1999. So it's been more than 500,000 people that we've provided services to in the communities over that, that last period of time. We work across the continuum of care. So everything from that sort of early intervention, prevention, through to sort of end of life. And it all, as I said, takes place, the majority of it takes place in the home. We do have some wellness centres where we've got the HUA equipment and that people can come to those centres and enjoy, the rehabilitation equipment, but also the social connection. And then we've got other centres where they might do activities and those sorts of things. But most of the services would occur either in the home, face-to-face or virtually. So everything from, our allied health clinical through to, the home, in-home care type cleaning, garden, that sort of area. So really all about keeping people connected in those local communities where they live. So I guess, it is about having a more holistic and a preventative approach, and that's what we've been working on over the last certainly 10 or 12 years to integrate the range of services for people in communities. So as I said, everything from nutrition, the psychologist, the social worker, the RNs, etc., to this helping people have a shower, helping people have a break, the social connection. A lot of virtualized services now, where we, obviously stood those up through COVID, but virtual exercise programs, virtual activities in real time for people as well. So that's stayed popular, even though our centres are open again. It's actually created, access for people that couldn't necessarily come to a centre. So that's, so that's really across that wellness, keeping people safe, keeping people part of the fabric of their community.
Yeah, fantastic. So, in leading this organization, what would you say is a care philosophy that you often share with your team?
Are we talking care leadership or care philosophy?
Both. I think, let's talk about the philosophy first. Like, when you're sharing with your team what you want them to do, and as a leader, how do you convey this and represent this leadership?
Yeah. So certainly from the care philosophy, really looking at how people can continue to participate in and remain part of that social fabric of their communities. We're talking about quite rural, regional areas where there aren't services, and I'll come to that in a minute, but the voice of the person needs to be heard and the services need to be co-designed to actually meet that person's needs. So what we're looking at is an integrated health systems demonstrator as a practical way to demonstrate this philosophy. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
But in the rural, regional, and remote communities in Australia, because we are talking vast geographic distances, and we know that your postcode matters. So we know that many older people are living with chronic health conditions, comorbidities, the accessibility to services, and some basic treatments can be limited, even though, you know, we're a wealthy country, we've got a great healthcare system, but because of those geographic distances, we know that premature death, preventable admissions, average length of stay, they all increase in direct correlation as you move away from the metro areas. We know that 68% of separations from the public hospital system are people aged 65 or over. So we know that that's what people are falling back on, because they haven't had these, you know, this accessibility to services earlier in their journey, in their care journey. So some of these challenges are, you know, they're driven because our systems are not connected. You know, they're fragmented by subsidy schemes and so on. Eligibility criteria. We know that, you know, the person can't just tell their story once and access the whole ecosystem of aged care and healthcare. We know they have to go through multiple doors and multiple stories. So these are all the things that we know about our communities. We know that the pain that people are going through. And so what we've stood up is a demonstrator that I'd love to have the opportunity to talk more about with you at a later time, but really looking at the service journey or the life journey based on the life cycle, where you've got access to health services, both at home and when you're in the community. It could be on location, it could be through virtual teams, it could be through an app. We're providing a comprehensive wraparound services to keep clients well at home and in the community. And it's a proactive approach to those changes in their health needs. And that can be determined through working with their dedicated personal health partner, who's a clinician, who can help them with their health literacy. It could be through working in partnership with the GP, shared decision making across that journey. It could be through the technology that's monitoring. And the important thing is that the plan is really jointly developed and co-designed, and you've got that technology that enables us to be monitoring and knowing when that deterioration might be occurring, but also that the client and the family have got that connection as well. So there's quite a bit that we're doing in that space. So that's sort of a practical example, I guess, of, you know, how we see that happening. And in terms of care leadership, it builds off that, because you need to create a culture or an environment where the care is safe and it's high quality, it's person-centered, it has to be accessible. You need to focus on the experience and the outcomes, but the leadership to create that culture, as you've said, you know, really creating the vision and the values and the strategy so that the business has the capability, and you've got the commitment and alignment across the whole organisation to actually be able to deliver that. So as well as that voice of the client, as I said earlier, and being a partner in the co-design, your team, your staff have to work in an environment where they're part of that co-design journey as well, and they're actually a partner in care. So it's sort of like the two sides of the coin, the client value journey and the team member or the staff members value journey as well.
Yeah, I think you perfectly described it very, very well. You know, at this point, maybe you can share with us a bit of a real life story as well about how this philosophy and leadership is brought to life. Is there a particular senior story, and I'm sure you have many,
there's a few
that has improved since being under your care? Maybe you can share with the audience one story in particular that you're very fond of recalling this particular story.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's one that's really lovely, and we had two clients that we were working with. They both needed new beds, and they both needed different beds. And of course, when they went to put them in the bedroom, they couldn't fit. So the social worker and the team worked with the clients, with the couple, because what they really wanted to do was to be able to go to sleep each night holding hands. And so what they ended up doing was they completely rearranged their bedrooms. So they had to take all the furniture out of the bedroom so they could put the two beds in. So they made a dressing room in one room and then just had the beds, in that bedroom. So that couple could still go to bed after 50 or 60 years of marriage holding hands every night. So to me, it's a really lovely story. And to hear our social worker talk about it is even more beautiful, right? To hear it come directly, from the staff. But look, there's multiple stories where, obviously we've improved health outcomes.
I think this is one of this is really the reality of what's happening on the ground.
Well, I think it comes to the quality of life, doesn't it? What's meaningful for those people is that's what they really, obviously they needed a good bed, so they were comfortable and they could sleep well, and their care needs were met. But what they really wanted was to be able to just go to sleep each night holding hands. So to me, that one just is the first one that comes to mind when you ask me that question.
That's a beautiful story. And I think, not everything requires moving mountains and massive budgets in order to achieve happiness for the people that we care to. But let's also try to talk about some of the things that a lot of organizations have been spending money on, which is the technology and the implementations. What are some of the innovations that your organization has utilized to provide better care? Would you be able to share one or two?
Yes, yeah. No, look, obviously the model I was talking about before is underpinned by technology. So, your vital signs monitoring, your clinical tools. It might just be, as I said, our simple virtualized services in real time. So where clients might have iPads or we screen to their TVs, we have digital offices that help the clients navigate the use of the technology as well, and the consultation. So our system, though, really needs a customer experience platform. So it needs to be held together. It's not just one system or one piece of technology. So, you've got your ecosystem platform where you're able to integrate the systems, and this is where the integration and the interoperability is really important. And people can, access that, or it might be, business to government, and you can share resources and data. You've got your technology platform where you've got those core capabilities. So your analytics, your mobility, your social, your Internet of Things, your cloud computing, they're all essential for creating the digital products and services that we want to use in the client's home. You've got your clinical systems, you've got your business information systems. So, you've got your data analytics, so your Power BI, all of those sorts of systems. So we're just looking at a clinical system now because, as I said, not one system will do all parts of your business. So you've got to have systems that sit on that enterprise architecture that let you integrate, and then hopefully we can have interoperability across platforms. So in business to government or business to other parts of the other ecosystems, because that's some of our challenge now in how we share the data.
A little bit about the subject of quality of life and quality of care. As an organization, how do you achieve a good balance between both?
I think the quality of life, when you look at what the person wants. And that's probably why I chose that example earlier. You know, that when you look at people's goals, and I've just been looking today through, you know, some 20 case studies that we've got, sure, and they've all got multiple complex chronic health conditions, depression, they could have Alzheimer's, there's a whole range of things, but people still want those quality of life. So they still want to enjoy time with family and grandchildren. They want to maintain their mental health with positive, healthy living. They'd like to go to church regularly. You know, they might want to maintain their self-determination regarding their care. They want to be able to enjoy, you know, doing those activities like reading or, you know, just things that stimulate their brain. Or, you know, one fellow wanted to continue to help his wife with the cooking and the meal preparation. You know, all of these things are really quality of life for people. So the care part fits into that, in that, you know, we have to provide that high quality care. It's an important goal. We've got to meet practice standards, quality measures. It's got to be safe. It's got to provide a positive experience that's caring and responsive to clients and effective. And, you know, we really need to promote that good quality of life. But so the two are very much related. The quality of care is how we can increase that likelihood of those health outcomes, but they are generally quite objective measures, or they're clinical measures, or they're against standards. But the quality of life is that the individual person's perception of, you know, what they want from their life. And so good healthcare is part of that, but it's more than that. You know, it could be managing their pain, or you know, all those social domains of health. So it could be the religious activities, or the meditation, or it could be you know, their social relationships, or their physical safety and security, you know, their psychological, their feelings, if they're depressed or so on. So being able to improve that access to the good health care and the good quality of care is part of, I think, enhancing quality of life for people. But other factors like, you know, helping, and this is where I suppose our wellness for independence programs are really important, because what we focused on have been those domains of health. So we've looked at, you know, their food, their sleep, their enjoyable exercise, building relationships, you know, their spirituality, having those hobbies. So those programs focus on those aspects of people's lives, and how we can help connect them, how we can help enable those factors that are going to contribute to a good quality of life. But ultimately, it's the person's perception, I think, of what, you know, what is meaningful for them. So the quality of care is an important requirement. And as a provider, you know, we have to work against standards and regulated and so on. So we have to do all of those things well. But it's not just about having good care, it's about how meaningful, what is meaningful to the person. So I think it comes back to that person-centered approach as well, Janice.
Of course.
Trying to balance, you know, balance the two, duty, you know, dignity of risk and duty of care, and all of those things that in this sector we're very familiar with.
All this is fantastic, and I think what is important next also is, in order for us to deliver all these wonderful services and programs and a great quality of life for the residents, you know, it really boils down to the people and the team that we have. And in a phase of global staff shortages and this massive competition for talent, as a leader, how do you try to attract and retain talent in this sector?
It's challenging. It's certainly challenging. We won't deny that one. Look, I think it comes from connection to purpose. And look, we have an advantage here. You know, we're not in the financial sector, or, you know, we are in a sector where we're fortunate that people do generally connect with that broader purpose. So people who work in this sector do want to make a difference. And what we found lately with that vision of better health outcomes for rural, regional, and remote communities, people connect to that. So they've connected to that vision and the purpose. They've all got a story. You know, everyone that comes into the business has a story about their parents or their aunt or uncle or their grandparents, where they struggle to get the level of services that they require. So people connect with that. So that sort of is the beginning of the motivation, I guess, that motivates them to apply for the job. It motivates them to connect with the business and what we're here to do. But then when they're in the door, we've got a lot of work. We've got a lot of work to do then to maintain them. And given that we are a remote employer, all of our people work in the field, or their majority work from home. We don't have offices. We've had a remote working model for more than 10 years. So we have to work very hard connecting with people and acknowledging and celebrating the work that people do through their own stories, you know, through that everyday recognition, showcasing a story. So that story, I first heard that story because the staff member who shared that story she was one of our value-based awards recipients last year. So she shared that story when we were celebrating and acknowledging her work. So, you know, it's connecting the work that people do with the value and the purpose. So really trying to keep people engaged and connected. As I said, we focused a lot on working with our people managers. So our people managers are our people leaders, and we need them to lead and manage. And they're the glue, right? They're the people who are working, but often virtually, you know, with their teams, and how do we support them to work with their team. So we've done a lot of work in leadership capability programs, so the development of the individual and the group capacity building across the organisation as a shared collective process. So we've got a program called Leadership Vitals that we're just about to commence. I think there's about 80 people in the organisation in the first cohort, and it's a program over about 8 weeks and looking at 8 different topics. And it's deliberately, we've put people cross-functionally in those groups as well. So they're learning from other people in the business, and they're learning about the business. But just in terms of, you know, giving people those key leader messages, giving them the tools to share the information with the teams. And then we've done a lot of work in that upfront. So as people are engaging with us in that first part of the recruitment, the talent acquisition processes, we've done a lot of work there. We actually joined the Circle Back initiative, and we've had platinum status for 2 quarters in a row, which is pretty unheard of, because of the level of care that we've shown to potential candidates, not just the successful ones. So it's everybody that we've engaged with. So that's been a great initiative for our team to be involved in, to start to show the care from the beginning of the process. And then once people come in the door, we've got a lot of work around that welcome, that onboarding process, people checking in regularly, especially in that first 90 days, so the 30, 60, 90-day points, and even to the point on one of the welcome days where the whole executive team comes in and we introduce ourselves, we meet new candidates. We do this on a monthly basis. We have a fun fact about ourselves, which we all know, you know, the first job and what we learned from it, which is quite funny. And we know what everyone's going to say. The people on the call don't, but so we can have a joke with each other. And so we are very, you know, we're seen as personable, as approachable. People can ask us questions and engage with us. So that's at their first, you know, entry point. So trying to reach out, trying to use the virtual tools that we've got to really engage and build that sort of sense of camaraderie and that sense of team. Obviously, we've, you know, done a lot of things in workforce programs and, you know, critical career paths, trying to attract people, you know, into the workforce, you know, graduates, you know, Cert 3 traineeships. We've done a lot of work in converting our casual staff to permanent part-time. We've only got about 5% of our staff are casual. So we've done a lot of work in that space to give people that sense of security. You know, student placements, certificate for people in leadership and management, the graduate attraction. So a lot of, you know, a lot of pieces of the puzzle. There's not one, I don't think there's one solution, but I think that ongoing engagement piece, the recognition, the acknowledgement, you know, we have our sort of staff service awards each year where we celebrate people who've been with us from 5 years, 10, 20, like we've had people, even though we're only 20 years old, we've had acquisitions of much older businesses. So we've had people who have been working for 35 years in this business. Like, it's quite amazing to hear their stories, you know, hear their connection with the client. So they're the sort of champions for us, I think, and, you know, really maximising their knowledge and learnings and being able to spread that through the business. So look, it's not, there's not one solution.
I think you brought out a great point, and I don't think it's a one solution, but it's a variety of different things that you've implemented, and from a leadership perspective as a team and as an organization, how you've really connected the people to the purpose. And I think that's what makes that come from the heart, and why people choose to join your organization in the sector. Well, that brings us to a close of today's session. Thank you very much, Catherine, for joining us today. Lauren is back to say hi before we end the session.
No, thank you very much, Janice, and thank you very much, Lauren, for the opportunity.
CarePage Business is the only feedback platform designed for the health and ageing sectors. With CarePage Business, you can uncover powerful customer experience insights, monitor resident or client feedback and complaints in a single, easy-to-use platform, and get the insights you need to drive continuous improvement in services and facilities. The CarePage Business Feedback solution is designed to be accessible for your residents and clients. With large fonts and high contrast colours, surveys and feedback forms are designed for older audiences and individuals with cognitive or other impairments such as low vision. You can also offer surveys in a range of languages. CarePage business dashboards and analytics have been designed with the sector in mind, giving you clear oversight over one or multiple services. All feedback flows in real time into a cloud-based system where executives and managers can look at top-level reporting and delve into deeper analytics to look at feedback and complaints themes and identify areas for celebration or improvement. Free up your team's time managing and monitoring feedback so you can focus on delivering high-quality care and services. Get the complete feedback, complaints and continuous improvement solution designed for the health and ageing sectors.